So I wanted to talk about the systems of control, and it with Christianity, it's so obvious to see. I mean, if we're talking about the literal main person of God that should be taken in the name of God, and they're saying, don't believe the Pope, believe us, Fox News, believe me, the president. Don't take the Pope's word, take my word, the president. Take my word, the vice president. Take my word, fucking Sean Hannity, right? I mean, this guy's revoking his Christianity in the name of Trump, not in the name of the Lord. Not saying, you know what, I don't like where you, I don't know, you know. And so this is something that's been happening for, I'd say, 2 to 3 years with this conservative movement. I mean, that's how they got so many votes previously. You know, it happened with the whole Latinos thing, right? The Latinos for Trump thing has to be one of the best run psyops ever. I mean, how can you convince a racial group of people to hate themselves, to vote for secret police to kidnap them, uh, and get rid of them and disappear them and torture them? I mean, how do you get a group of people to do that? You know, you have to have some level of power control. You have a game plan, and they've done it. They've tried to do it for like about every group of person, right? From what I've seen, right? This whole Nicki Minaj thing is the same thing, right? They try to find a pillar of a community, they flip them, and you know try to get votes. And this Christianity thing is so apparent. It's just crazy. It's just insane. I mean, this is the Pope. This is the Pope. They're saying don't listen to the Pope. Like, hey, if you're a Christian and you believe, right, based on history and based on all these things, if you're a Christian and you believe that the Pope is the voice of God, don't do that. We know more about that than he does. it's I mean, we're talking about I don't know. Something that's funny is, by the way, uh, Jesus, right, had to fight against this exact type of thing. Like, if you're really a Christian, I don't think any real Christian is minds change. If anything, they're like, okay, so they are evil.
Now, I do want to shift gears with a message to the Vatican tonight, specifically to Pope Leo, who has openly condemned America's war in Iran while seemingly enjoying a public fight with President Trump. First, let me give some context. Like millions of Americans, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. I even attended a seminary in high school, studied theology, Latin, went to Mass daily. I got a lot out of it. My parents, they were devout Catholics. And while I wasn't particularly engaged at the time in the teachings of the Catholic Church, as a young person, it certainly entered my consciousness and made me a better person. And it has been a positive force in my life in so many ways. But as of today, I no longer consider myself a Catholic. And while I am a Christian, I left the Catholic Church in large part because of institutionalized corruption. And it was at the parish level, to the bishop level, cardinals, all the way to Rome. And, you know, the very top scandals, terrible behavior, frankly, went not only unchecked, but they never fully corrected it or dealt with it. And others at the Vatican have totally lost sight of the true meaning of the Bible and its teachings. I don't know why, for the first 1,200 years of the church, priests were allowed to marry. They changed that law. But right on cue, Pope Leo XIV is now seemingly more interested in spreading left-wing politics than the actual teachings of Jesus Christ.
But Jesus and the Romans, right? The Romans wanted to prevent Jesus from speaking the word of God because it was counter to what they wanted, right? They wanted to control people. They wanted, you know, all these rules, and they hated all these immigrants, right? And Jesus said no. Like, you know, he started creating a commune of people. He started fighting for their rights. He started helping people, and then they executed him because of that. So, I mean, Trump and Fox News taking essentially the Roman side is crazy to me. I can't believe. I mean, anyways, it's ridiculous. Um, they're trying to use all these systems of control. They've bought in the media, and they've put people in podcasting. They've put people on the news to say these crazy things. The manosphere is a great example of that. Uh, and they try to buy out celebrities. They've tried to get celebrities to say these things, and it's been pretty apparent. You're like for now, these celebrities are speaking out, right? And I do that with quotation marks because it doesn't matter now. His approval is super low. Now they want to say something, right? But a year ago, when an AB was in the 60%, no one was saying anything. Uh, but they've tried to buy out celebrities. They've tried to.
Nails grow. She's so good. She's been MAGA. What can I say? She's been with us all the way, right, Alex? She's been with us all the way, and just want to thank her. And it wasn't so easy. For you, it was easier, right? You want to come up? You want to come up? Mr. Wonderful, come on up here. You've been terrific. Come on up.
Hello. Well, I don't know what to say, but I will say that I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more. And it's going to motivate all.
Let me get this all in one. So they've tried to buy out celebrities, right? They've tried to buy out communities. They use the algorithm to silence people who speak negatively about specific countries. And they do all this, right, to essentially brainwash. But also it's not about convincing you. That's the thing. You may see it. You may see them say these things about about the Pope and like how the Pope isn't really Christian. He's this leftist and yada, yada, yada. The reason why they're doing that, you may be like, well, that's obviously crazy. They don't need to convince you. That's the thing. They don't need to convince you. Their goal isn't to convince you, right? Their goal is to convince. All they have to do is tell a lie, and a percentage of people will believe it. It doesn't matter what the lie is, right? Even if it's as dumb as Hannity saying that he's not a Christian anymore, and that he's going to stick with Trump over the Pope. That's crazy. It's not because, right? Like he's saying that on Fox News to not to convince people or to make an argument, because it's a dumb argument, right? It doesn't make sense. It's crazy. It's just insane. There's no logical reason to have it. He can spew whatever bullshit he wants out of his mouth, but it's a lie, right? And the reason why they say these things, they do these things, is to just create the narrative, right? It's not about it. It doesn't have to be a good narrative, right? They just lie. They just lie. They just lie. And it's not just the Pope. It's not just Christianity. They've, of course, tried to use black celebrities, white celebrities, Hispanics, and other racial groups to, like, they've always been lying. And the reason how they've gotten certain groups of people to vote for them is just to keep lying. So they're just going to run that. They're just going to keep lying and lying and lying until, to be honest, until we're all dead. They don't. I don't even think they care about winning anymore. It's just self-destructive. It's just self-destructive. And so I thought it was important to talk about these systems of control. I thought it was important to talk about the things that they've been doing. I think this whole Christianity thing, in a vacuum, it's insane. You know, they have the spiritual advisor that's been spewing this BS for a long time. You know, these years, the things that she has said, you know, Trump posting him as Jesus, and then one lying about it, that's so crazy. He was clearly posting himself. He's like, I was a nurse that had Jesus's robe. He's wearing Jesus's robe, and he's saying, actually, believe me, that's that's me as a nurse. No, he was posting himself as Jesus, and the reason why they're trying to make that connection of him as Jesus is already what you can hear. You know, I'm going to play this clip.
Here's what God is saying in this prophetic season. If you hold your peace, if you do not participate, if you hold back now, if you miss this moment, there will be enlargement and deliverance for God's people and his purposes. But God can't use you. He doesn't use spectators. He uses participators, people who say, yes, I partner with you, God, and through you, I'm being raised up for such a time as this. I declare, do not miss your moment. You're in a position for such a time as this. Go forward boldly into your destiny in the courage and the spirit of Esther. So what are you going to do? You see, I have to be obedient to God. And you must sacrifice in some way during this prophetic season, because it's through sacrifice that your spirit opens up so wide that you can receive divine direction.
So true. It almost cost you your life. You were betrayed and arrested and falsely accused. It's a familiar pattern that our Lord and Savior showed us. But it didn't end there for him, and it didn't end there for you. God always had a plan. On the third day, he rose, he defeated evil, he conquered death, hell, and the grave. And because he rose, we all know that we can rise. And sir, because of his resurrection, you rose up. Because he was victorious, you were victorious. And I believe that the Lord said to tell you this. Because of his victory, you will be victorious in all you put your hand to.
This is a deliverance seed that needs to be sown now, to be in position, to see increase, to activate God's promises. And if you're able, I challenge you to sow $133 because we sow in accordance to the word. I love to get a word from God and put my faith with it. And 133 stands for Proverbs 133.
And so you can see that this spiritual advisor, right, is always making these comparisons to him as Jesus, right? If you, and you've heard this rhetoric through the whole party that he is, this godlike figure, right? And the reason why they're saying that is so that way you don't question what he's doing, right? And this is what I'm saying. This level of craziness, this level of lies. Like they're trying to convince you more that Trump is Jesus than the Pope is talking. Like they're trying to convince you more that Trump is Jesus than that the Pope knows what he's talking about, right? The Pope is sitting here talking about community and peace and world peace, and they're like, but Trump, who was actually Jesus, who's trying to start World War III, he's actually just, we should do what he says. They've been, Pete Hegseth, was talking about how they need to start Armageddon to bring back Jesus, like crazy shit, man. And they're not going to get away with it, one. But this is all part of the system of control, right? It gets even crazier when we start talking about AI. They can't even find, when these snap cuts were happening in like the first shutdown, I think it was the longest shutdown in history, government shutdown. And they were Fox News and the other outlets, and even Twitter. Twitter was purposely uh, boosting up these videos of AI people, like not real people, fake videos of people like screaming in a food market about food stamps, right? They couldn't even find, a black person. They couldn't even find like these white people screaming their head off about food stamps. So fuck it, they created people. Fuck it, they'll use AI to do it. This even happened with Venezuela, right? They couldn't find Venezuela people that were celebrating this. So they created, AI like groups of people celebrating it. They tried to do it with Iran, right? They're just lying about Iran, and Iran has to, all these diplomats from Iran have to go on Twitter and saying, "Hey, we never talked. He lied about these 8 things. Here are the 8 things they lied about." They're just trying to control us. It's not even. They're just trying to control us. So you have the AI thing.
I ain't paying for none of this. I got babies at home that gotta eat.
Fox News is being called out for publishing a story featuring SNAP beneficiaries on camera, but several of those videos were actually created by AI. The original headline published Friday read, "SNAP beneficiaries threaten to ransack stores over government shutdown." The article, written by a production assistant, cited social media reaction and referred to the people in the AI clips as real users online. But after users pointed out the videos weren't real, Fox kept the article up, just changed the headline and added an editor's note admitting the videos were AI. Fox has not responded to the backlash, but many are calling for the article to be taken down.
It is the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of my kids.
And when you talk about the Epstein files, it's something that happened that this was the most. This is obviously the AI thing is crazy, right? They're just like, we'll just start feeding you fake information, like into your brain. We'll just start creating fake people, fake, fake situations of things that are happening. I mean, that's crazy, right? I don't know how that's allowed. I don't know how a news station can do that. That's insanity to me. But it gets worse. It gets way worse. And one, you're talking about, people have been calling it like digital blackface. This has been a thing for a while. But they're talking about them trying to make people more racist and using AI to do so. Right? What? People in this country aren't racist enough. We must create AI videos of black people to make people more racist in this country, to create more division. Dude, this is such a Black Mirror episode. I can't get over it. So that's their AI plan. How great is that? But something that has been happening, and it happened under a lot of our noses, and something that is so disgusting and evil. What I just said was pretty fucking evil. But what they have done to women and what they're trying to do about women's rights, it is so crazy. These manosphere people, right? The Andrew Tates of the world, right? They are paid, right? They are paid by, all these people. They have ties to Trump. They're all red pilled, right? And they all help Trump get into power. And you may think that's bad, but what's worse is their intent is to make people, as I said, they're trying to make people more racist. They're trying to make people more misogynistic, right? And they've used this whole trad wife, thing of, women who are saying like, I'm a traditional woman and I never want to work and I never want to do these things. It's a fine opinion to have. But they're talking about, well, I'm dumber. I don't have a brain. I can't, function. I mean, that's crazy. And when I'm saying this is evil, when these Epstein files come out, they're openly now saying that like rape is okay, right? And it's one of the reasons why I want to start doing this stuff, because I can't sit back and watch people, on the news talk about how 14-year-old is not that old or is not that young.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos.
They're saying like, oh, well, 14-year-old's not that young. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but like, who cares? It's like, what are we talking about right now? Like, who are these people? It just popped up out of nowhere. No, it's intentional. And so with the manosphere, right? I mean, they consistently are going out and trying to make things like rape and sexual assault and even pedophilia okay, and I'm at a loss for words. And this is what I'm saying. These are systems of control. They're not. It's about putting that idea in your mind, right? And now we're having the conversation about, well, 14 is obviously too fucking young, But that's not it. We all agreed on that. I've never had that conversation before, And so I can't believe, when they're openly talking about how, like, I mean, I don't even want to say it, but I'll just start playing these clips. Here's what they.
That's how women are with like my personality type. Where you're like a rascal, You're like a bastard, and they're kind of like, because I'm like a rule breaker and stuff. And so women simultaneously are intrigued by that, but they also have to pretend like they're not, because women. It's sort of like how a lot of women want to be raped. And when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that. But there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them. But also they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
And so it's crazy times. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is that we have to come together as people, right? We have to understand between each other that these lies and what they're trying to do is insane. It is crazy. It is not something that we have ever accepted as people. We're not going to accept, and we shouldn't accept it now, right? And so with this change and with these things, like, I think they're going to lose. I want to see all these people go to jail. At the end of the day, I want to see all these people go to fucking jail. They're fucking evil. They need to be held accountable. I mean, their intent is to cause division. Their intent is just to just use propaganda and get control as many groups and as many people as they can to stay in power. And I mean, the level of evenness they want us to be as people to each other is disgusting. I mean, they want us to hate each other. They don't want us to have relationships. They don't want us to, they don't want us to have things. They literally want us all as in like this wage slavery. They genuinely want to take away all of our rights, all of our freedoms. I'm just at a loss of words for why, and so I just wanted to talk about the why, right? The reason why Sean Hannity is going on Fox News and saying that he's no longer a Christian and doing this crazy ass shit. This is why. The reason why Nicki Minaj is saying I'm the biggest Trump supporter of everyone I know, like I don't care about this, sacrificing her whole career for it. There's a reason why. That whole Latinos Trump for Trump thing. There's a reason why. The reason why these manosphere people are talking so openly about. I'm sorry. I just don't even feel comfortable saying it. It's so disgusting and evil to me. But the reason why they're saying that's why, right? The reason why they're doing these things about the Epstein files, that's why. They clearly have a goal of what they want, where they want people to go. And they want people to abandon their religion. They want people to abandon solidarity between races. They want people to, abandon their moral and virtue values, and so then they can just take as much wealth as they want. I don't even know. It doesn't even, I don't, like, yes, I would assume it's for wealth, but it doesn't even make sense, right? Like, they're not going to get more wealthy that way. They're doing this insider trading, right? Like starting a war and I feel like they started this war just so that way with a tweet they can make $1 billion. Right? Because every single time he said that they have a peace deal or they have ceasefire or that they're in conversations, right? Someone's making like $3 billion of insider trading. And this has happened every single time. There has not been a time where he has tweeted these things in this past 8 weeks that this hasn't happened. I mean, it's crazy. And you have the government of Iran tweeting us, hey, we never talked, he's lying, it's for insider trading. and it is, someone made like $3 billion. So we're talking about a level of craziness. I have a lot more to come. I have so much more to talk about. But I wanted to talk about these systems levels of control because you need to know that you're being lied to, right? You need to know about how they're trying to infiltrate Christianity. You need to know how they're trying to infiltrate, the black community and the white community, because it's important. Because I've noticed it, right? Because with specifically the Epstein files, people don't know how bad it is, right? Like everyone has these conversations about it, but it's bad. We're talking about the murders and the sexual assault of young children. We're talking about, we're talking about a worldwide, the most powerful people in the world doing the most heinous crimes that you've never read about or heard about, and that it was documented and they all got off for some reason, right? And so there's a lot of things that we're being lied to about. There's a lot of things that aren't talked about, and news is dead. News is dead. They have bought out. Every single news company is almost bought out by now, and they keep trying to buy them out. Like, it's just cooked. They spike stories. Anything that's going to cause a drop in the stock market. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. So, you will hear more from me. Check out my socials. Check out, all my things. Like, subscribe. At the end of the day, I hope to build a community of people. I hope to learn more. This is a new thing that I'm doing that I've never done before. So, I hope to hear from people, and feel free to ask questions, message questions, anything you want me to talk about, anything that I feel like you feel like I didn't clear up well. And, I plan to put all my sources in these videos. So if you feel like, you want me to add a source, like, what were you talking about then? Like, I didn't see this clip when you talked about it. Let me know, and yeah, I mean, we got to traverse this shitty Black Mirror episode together. The more people we have, the better. So, best of luck to all of us.